Beautiful humans, I hope you're all having a wonderful gem of a day. Today I am doing a Star Wars Princess Leia themed makeup look. Now I'm doing this because obviously Star Wars Rogue One is coming out on the 16th of December and I'm really excited. I saw the last one and I wasn't a fan. Everybody raves about it and it's a very unpopular opinion, but I didn't really like it at all, really. Like, I came out of the cinema being like, what did I just see? That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Maybe I was just in a bad mood, I don't know, but I did not like the last one. But this one I'm really looking forward to because Felicity Jones, I've never seen her in a bad movie. Seriously, she is just amazing. I actually saw a movie with her last night. It was called A Monster Calls. At my cinema, they have this thing called Screen Unseen where you can see a film that hasn't actually come out yet and you kind of see it. Like, it's almost like a premiere, but you don't know what film you're going to see. So you go in, you book it, you have no idea what the film is. It was really, really good. So when that comes out, go and see that. Go and check that out. She plays a mum who's like got cancer and it's really, really sad. I literally cried so much that I had like a mark. I was wearing a high neck top and I had like a mark here drenched in tears. I was crying so much, but anyway. Back to Star Wars. I'm doing the look that Princess Leia wore in the episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So this was an awful long time ago. This is 1983, so a fair while ago, but still an amazing, amazing film. I absolutely love the Star Wars films, the original trilogy. They are just incredible. I decided to do a bit of a throwback and do a Princess Leia look. Now this isn't the makeup she was wearing for the majority of the sort of trilogy. She usually wore sort of a very, very pink look. I noticed, like, very pink. I didn't notice when I first watched it, like years and years and years ago. I've watched it many, many times, but I never really noticed how pink her makeup was, but when I was researching for this, I was looking through her looks and I was like, she has very, very, very pink makeup. Like, her cheeks, oh my goodness, she wears so much pink blush, it's insane. But for this look, she wasn't really wearing as pink a look. It was like kind of a grey smoky eye and then a very metallic sort of gold lip, which is really, really interesting. And I thought I would do this look because I find it quite mysterious and beautiful. And I mean, she's just gorgeous, so yeah, I really enjoyed recreating this. Okay, now the makeup designer, who has unfortunately now passed away at the age of 98, he died in 2013. His work is just absolutely, oh my goodness, incredible. He did so many incredible films, including the Star Wars trilogy. So he was the makeup designer. Obviously there was more than one makeup artist working in the film, and actually his son and his wife were both makeup artists in the films, which is really, really cool. But he was the makeup designer, so he kind of designed all of the makeup looks. He was completely self-taught. He had a 6-decade career. He worked on Oliver Twist in 1948, 2001 A Space Odyssey, which is a classic. He created the character Chewbacca and Yoda, who actually, funnily enough, strongly resembled himself. Apparently, like, he looked an awful lot like Yoda. And also, apparently, Yoda was partly inspired by Albert Einstein. So there you go. He also worked on the 4 Superman films from 1978 to 1987, the 1972 Alice in Wonderland, the 1964 Doctor Strangelove, and also the 1976 The Omen. So in interviews, George Lucas has basically said he was already a makeup legend before he started working on the Star Wars films. He was just an incredible, incredible guy. I would definitely recommend, if you are into makeup, that you check out his looks. Obviously, they're a little bit dated now because it was way, way back, you know, in the 80s. Oh my goodness, so long ago. I wasn't even born then. Definitely go check out his work because he is just absolutely incredible. Such an amazing artist, a true artist. I think sometimes makeup artists are seen as not real artists, but I think definitely his work really shows you that makeup artists can be real artists as well. Now, like I said, he wasn't the only makeup artist working in this film. He kind of designed the makeup looks, but the 2 chief makeup artists were Graham Freeborn, who was his son. He worked on all 3 Star Wars films, and also Tom Smith, who just worked on this Star Wars film. He also worked on The Shining, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So yeah, I had so much fun researching this. I'll leave the research article that I read in the description box because there's so many interesting things about the makeup in these films. I just think they're incredible. And Princess Leia, of course, is an iconic character. I mean, obviously the hair as well in these films is very iconic, and also in the subsequent Star Wars films, the hair is always very, very interesting and different and iconic, so I would definitely recommend you sort of research into the hair as well if you're interested in that. But obviously the makeup, I mean, That's my thing, so I love the makeup in these films. Like I said, this look is quite different to the look she was wearing in the majority of the films, which I kind of like. I like how they kind of changed it up a little bit. Now in the scene before this, she was wearing like a dark sort of brown lip, but pretty much the same makeup look. So you can see a lot better the makeup that she was wearing in that scene, because the scene where she's sort of wearing the gold bikini, the lighting's quite dark, so it's quite hard to tell. I had to take so many screenshots and they're all blurry and like I couldn't really see properly, but I noticed that it was very, very similar to the look she was wearing just before she got captured. So yeah, the only thing that really changed was the lip, which was like a metallic gold lip, and before it was like a sort of dark brown. So without any more ado, let us get into the makeup look. Okay, so I'm just going to prime my face with my L'Oreal Infallible Mattifying Base. To start off my eyes, I'm going to go in with my Maybelline 24-Hour Color Tattoo in Creme de Nude. And I'm going to set it with my Makeup Revolution Redemption Palette Essential Mattes 2, and I'm just using this shade on the outside. Okay, now she was actually wearing quite a dark eye look. It doesn't really look like it because she has quite hooded eyes. You can only really see it when she closes her eyes, but she's definitely wearing a dark grey, kind of a smoky eye, but it's really, really subtle. So I'm just going to go in with this grey colour from my Maybelline The Nudes palette. I'm only going to put it on the outer 2/3 of my eye. And I'm just going to use a fluffy brush just to blend out the edges. I usually do like a V on the outer corner, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to blend the outer edges so that it's not harsh. We just want to keep this colour on the actual lid. And it was quite a kind of shiny metallic sort of colour, so I'm just going to go over the top of that with this colour from the Maybelline The Nudes palette, just to kind of make it a little bit more metallic. Okay, now there was a lot of emphasis put on the actual lash line, not so much the inner corner. The inner corner was left quite bright, but the sort of outer 2/3 where that shadow is was quite sort of dark. So I'm just going to go in with a black. Now I'm going to be annoying and go to a different palette because the Maybelline The Nudes palette does have a black in it, but it's quite a sort of glittery, shimmery black. So you can just use that, but I'm going to go in with this sleek Storm palette, and I'm going to use the black in that one. I'm going to go in with a pencil brush and just darken up the outer 2/3. I'm also just going to tightline with my Maybelline Eyestudio Lasting Drama Gel Eyeliner. Now, as in most films, she wasn't wearing any false eyelashes, so I'm just going to go in with my Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. And what I'm going to do is, usually I would sort of coat the outer lashes, like the sort of outer portion of my eyelashes with mascara, but because her eyes are quite sort of rounded and this was going for quite a round sort of look, I'm just going to put the mascara on the sort of just the middle of my eyelashes. And I'm going to build it up quite a bit, but I'm only going to put it where the brush, sort of that portion of my eye, like where the brush hits. And this just makes your eye look a lot rounder as opposed to longer and slimmer. Okay, now onto brows. Now this is a little bit tricky for me because I do have quite large, sort of thick, bushy brows, and she has very, very, very thin brows, which was, you know, kind of the look back then. But I'm just going to kind of brush my brows to the side and fill them in. Now I was a little bit confused because in that same sort of sequence, in the same scene, her brows weirdly changed sort of partway through, like at the very end, they kind of change and become much more drawn on. And then for the first half of it, they're kind of quite piecey, like sort of quite natural looking. So I'm just going to go for that look. And I'm just going to use my Maybelline The Nudes palette again. And I'm using this shade, but I'm just going to really focus the product, the thinnest portion of the brows, and not really touch the outer edges because I really just want to make them look really quite thin, but also quite natural and piecey because that's kind of the look that she was going for. And it was also like not very rounded, so there wasn't really an arch of any kind. It was just kind of quite flat. And I'm going to put quite a lot of product on the inside of the brows, which I normally leave pretty bare, but she definitely had a more drawn on look towards the middle of the face. Okay, so first I'm just going to color correct with my sleek color correcting palette. And for foundation, I'm just going to use my Rimmel Match Perfection foundation. And I'm going to use my fingers to blend it in because that is generally what they do in film most of the time. I mean, generally speaking, they tend to use fingers for like a more natural look. So yeah, that is what I'm going to do. It's funny, you'd think that like makeup artists would use brushes and sponges and stuff for foundation because they always go on about hygiene, and I mean it is a little bit gross using your fingers, but I always, whenever I watch makeup artists do like film makeup or like celebrity makeup, I always notice they use their fingers a lot for like the face, just because it looks so much more natural. And especially for film, like the base of the makeup is really important that that's natural because it's really, really obvious when it's not. I mean, if you actually see celebrities with film makeup on in real life, it does look quite unnatural. But for some reason, blending stuff with your fingers, especially on the face, is like, I don't know, it just, for film and celebrity makeup, it's like, seems to be one of the best ways to do it. I think just because of the way the product blends out with your fingers, like the warmth of your fingers kind of almost melts it into the face. So it pretty much just like sinks into the skin and sort of sits into the skin rather than on top of it. I mean, you don't get as much coverage this way, so something like a color correcting palette or putting concealer on underneath is really, really good for this. Okay, now for concealer, she actually was wearing a fair bit of concealer underneath her eyes, so I'm just going to use my Maybelline Eraser Eye Concealer. And again, I'm just using my fingers to blend it out. But for this, I'm not going to wipe it as much. I'm just going to kind of pat it in because that gives a lot more coverage that way. Okay, now this is a very, very, very matte look. Very, very, very matte. I don't think there's any sort of like liquid like highlighters or blushes or anything going on here. It seems to be all powder. So I'm just going to powder my face with my Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. I've been using a denser brush recently just because it kind of packs it on a lot better. And I have very oily skin, so I need all the powder I can get on my skin. Okay, now she wasn't wearing much contour at all, if any really, so I'm just going to put a tiny, tiny, tiny bit on just to kind of define my face a little bit. I'm just going to use my Makeup Revolution Ultra Pro HD contour palette and just this shade here. So it's quite a light shade. It's nothing crazy, but I'm just going to really, really lightly define my face a little bit and kind of warm it up. And I'm also just going to lightly contour my nose. Okay, now for blush. Holy moly, that girl wears a lot of blush. Throughout the whole trilogy, she's wearing an awful lot of blush. Generally, it's very, very, very pink and intense, and mostly on the apples of her cheeks. So I'm just going to go in with this sleek lace blush palette. I'm just going to use, I'm just going to use this shade here. And I'm just going to sort of build it up on the apples of my cheeks and then blend it out. And when you think you've put on enough, put on some more. Because you cannot have enough blush for this look. Okay, that should do it. Now for highlight, she wasn't really wearing any highlight because like I said, this is a very, very, very matte look, but I did notice that she was wearing highlight on her nose, like sort of just down the bridge of her nose and then on the like ball of the nose. So I'm just going to go in with this sleek highlighting palette in Precious Metals, and I'm going to use just the white shade here, which is a cream highlighter. And I'm only going to put a tiny, tiny bit on. I'm just going to go down the bridge of the nose, just in sort of dabbing motions, and then on the ball of the nose. And I'm also just going to go in with a little bit on the inner corners of the eyes because she was wearing quite a lot there. Okay, Okay, so now that I've set my concealer under my eyes, I'm just going to go back in with that black shade underneath my eyes the whole way along. But I'm just going to stop and just leave like a tiny bit just in the inner corner, completely free, and then I'm just going to clean this brush off and blend it out, just so it doesn't sort of stop there. Okay, and then for pretty much the whole movie, she was wearing a white pencil in her waterline. So I'm just going to use this one from NYX. This is just the retractable eyeliner in white. Okay, so I just kind of redid that that black shadow under the eyes again because I felt like it was slightly too thick, so I kind of went over just the edge of it with concealer and then I went back over it to darken it again. But I'm just going to go in with my Maybelline Colossal Mascara on my bottom lashes. Okay, now onto the kind of star of the show, the lips. I'm just going to actually use pretty much all eyeshadows for this look because I don't really have any lipsticks that are like really gold and metallic like that. So I'm just going to go in with my Maybelline 24-Hour Color Tattoo in Bad to the Bronze. Okay, now because that is far too dark, I'm just going to go over the top of that, and I'm not sure if this is gonna work, so I'll just see what happens, but I'm going to try going over the top of it with my Barium Dazzle Dust in 44. And this is like pretty much the perfect color, but it is a powder, so I don't know what's gonna happen, but we shall see. I might go over it, I'll probably have to go over it again with something else. Okay, that actually worked pretty well. So I'm just going to go over the top of it with my Elizabeth Arden Luminous Lip Gloss in Precious Petal because it was quite a glossy lip. And that is the finished look. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like it if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Also leave me a comment. Let me know if you enjoyed the video and what you would like to see next. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.